All right, UEFA Nations League 2026-2027 season going on now into its 8th year. This will be, I believe, the 5th edition of the UEFA Nations League, one of international football's newest tournaments. And I've been covering on this channel for years now, and it's good to see that it's an experiment that's been a success and has continued to go on. And I hope that that's the case for many more years to come. Because it is a good little tournament to have to replace the system of friendlies that we were swamped with prior to the late 2010s. So we're back at it again. The draw was today. I'm just going to go through the groups, give some thoughts, I guess give some early predictions. Ligue A, Group 1, France, Italy, Belgium, and Turkey. It's a stacked group. And France, Italy, and Belgium were all together in the last edition of the Nations League, the only exception being that instead of Turkey at the time it was Israel. And France came out top and made a run to the semifinals of that year's Nations League season. So thoughts on this? This is going to be the post-World Cup 2026 era. I think the first international tournament to take place after the World Cup finishes. This will probably be in September, running until November of this year. A lot of this is going to depend on the form that these teams are in coming out of that World Cup in North America this summer. But there's really only one clear standout favorite to come first, and it's France, just like last time. I think France are one of the best sides in the world. I believe that Deschamps will not be here for this because he's leaving after the World Cup. So what's interesting here is that France will probably be under new management in this Nations League for the first tournament since 2012, 2013. He's been there for that long. Still, though, I think France from top to bottom, they're one of the most, I think they're the second best side in Europe right now after Spain. Italy, still in that transition period. Gattuso, in my opinion, is probably not going to be the manager by the end of this year, even if they do make it to the World Cup in March. Belgium's a little bit of a wild card. Golden generation that's on the downturn. They have a favorable group in the World Cup that could set them up for a deeper run than anticipated. And then you got Turkey as a dark horse, really, who are looking to make it to their first World Cup in 24 years. It's just, we're going to have much more clarity about these teams after the World Cup, but I'm going to say France should come first. I wouldn't be surprised if Italy do it because Italy tends to perform better in European competition than in World Cup qualifying. We saw them, after missing the last World Cup, they topped a Nations League group containing the likes of Germany and England in it, and they damn near won the Nations League a couple of seasons ago where they finished in third place. It's a night and day compared to their World Cup qualifying campaigns. So you have to consider that. Also the European Championship that they won in 2021. Belgium, I think, is at risk here possibly for being upset by Turkey for direct relegation. I will say that I think France will come in first. And then really take your pick for the order of the next three, because I think it could happen in either order, with Turkey finishing second or Italy second or Belgium. But I'm going to switch things up and say I think Belgium will come second. And I think Italy will come in third. I do think Turkey will be relegated, but Italy will get sent to the relegation playouts. I understand Belgium's on the downturn, but I think they'll do enough here to avoid falling into the bottom two. We got a France versus Belgium rematch. Those are games that we've seen often in the last few years. France and Italy is always a nice rivalry. Group number 2, Germany, Netherlands, Greece, and Serbia. Another rivalry here, Germany and Netherlands. You love to see it, actually. Greece and Serbia, having been promoted from the last season into League A. There's very clear two favorites here. That's Germany and the Netherlands. And I think that the bottom two, Serbia and Greece, I actually favor Greece to come ahead of Serbia. I think Serbia's on a very real downturn, having failed to qualify for the World Cup, losing to Albania. Greece missing out in the fashion they did was a little bit unfortunate. They were in a difficult group with Denmark and Scotland, but they performed very well, and they've played very vibrant attacking football, which is a stark departure from Greek teams of the past. I think they're favorites here to finish ahead of Serbia, and they will go to the relegation playouts if they finish third in this group, but I favor Greece's odds ultimately of staying alive in League A. It's really between Germany and the Netherlands for first and second. Sorry, Serbia, I think you'll be relegated directly. I have a feeling that I see. It's hard, right? It's hard. We don't know the dynamic with these two teams post World Cup, Nagelsmann and Ronald Koeman in charge, respectively. I think that Germany has a higher ceiling in this competition than the Dutch do. The Dutch getting very inconsistent results under Ronald Koeman. I have the Netherlands going far in the World Cup this year with a little bit of luck, but I think Germany would still be favorites to finish top. But Nagelsmann really has not yet figured this team out, has he? He's had a couple of years now or so. They looked okay at the last European Championship, probably could have gotten past Spain with some better officiating. But with Germany, there's just a lot of volatility as well. And I think that even though Germany has more playmakers than the Dutch do, maybe the Dutch will just have enough to take that top spot. So I'm actually going to say the Netherlands will come first. Germany comes second, but both teams will advance to the quarterfinals because that's the format of this Nations League, of course. Group A3 with Spain, Croatia, England, and Czech Republic. Oh, God, we got so many rematches here. Croatia and England feels like a rivalry at this point. Croatia is sick of Spain at this point. And this is the same group as the first UEFA Nations League season way back in 2018, where Spain, Croatia, and England were in the same group. But this was back under the old format of just 3-team groups in the top leagues. And then the Czech Republic, who were promoted last season, they're fighting for a World Cup spot in March. Will we see them there in North America? We could. I think there's a very clear weak link here. It's the Czech Republic. Could they play spoiler? I think they can, and I would keep an eye on Croatia here, potentially being the victim of that. I think the Czech Republic will be relegated. They seem to be a team that hovers back and forth between League A, League B. They've been promoted a couple of times. They've been relegated a couple of times. You start to notice after a few seasons just where these national sides truly are, what their level is. But with Spain, Croatia, England, damn, that's just so hard because one of them has to go to the relegation playouts, and it's going to be very difficult. But I think it's Croatia. Yeah, I think it's Croatia. I do think that since the end of Euro 2024, Croatia has sort of stabilized a little bit, and they've not been on like a downward path. I think they could still go on yet another deep run in the World Cup this year. You underestimate them at your own peril. But this being very much, I think, a generational change for Croatia, you also have two of the top 5 best national teams in the world in this group, probably two of the top 3 best with Spain and England. That's crazy in one group. I think that it's really Spain and England that should finish top 2. And that's just the way it is. Who will come first? It almost doesn't really matter because both teams will go to the quarters. I think it affects the seeding, of course, of the next round. But it's a little bit lower stakes than under the old format where only one team, the group winner, made it to the semifinal phase. Spain and England, a doubleheader, rematch of the Euro 2024 final. You know what? I think England might top this group. I think they're really building something. I do not have England winning the World Cup. I think their semifinals max is where they'll reach. But Tuchel had just renewed his contract. He's staying on till Euro 2028. This team has been knocking on the door for a trophy. Is it going to come? he's got really three chances with them. If you think about it, the World Cup, the Nations League, the Euros that they're going to be hosting for the 1,000th time in 2028. No shade, kind of shade. Could this be it? Now, the Nations League is not as prestigious of a trophy as World Cups or Euros, but it is a major trophy, and teams do care, and they do want to win it, and it would mean a lot for England for this team to finally break through. England are very stacked. They are stacked on every area of the pitch. In my opinion, they have one of the best front threes in the world. I think they're going to get a little bit of revenge here on Spain, and I think they're going to beat them in one of these clashes. I have them coming first. Spain second, Croatia third, Czech last. Group 4 in League A, Portugal, Denmark, Wales, and Norway. Scandinavian double header here, eh? I would love for Norway to finish first to make a statement here. And I have serious concerns about Portugal after the end of the last Nations League because I do think they ended World Cup qualifying on a bit of a negative note. We don't know what that will portend for them heading into the World Cup this year, where I do think they'll be a contender, but I have serious concerns about the decision-making and in-game management of Roberto Martinez. Having said that, the quality here is a little bit too much to overcome, I feel. I do actually see Portugal losing a game in this group, and it could be to Norway or it could be to Wales. But I think Portugal will finish first. For second, I'm going to go with Norway. I think Norway will come second, and they'll make it to the quarters. Great opportunity for them to be the dark horse of this competition. A lot of people have them as a dark horse this summer at the World Cup. I think they can go on a deep run. I think Norway is the real deal. They don't look like a team that's going to be sussed out this summer, like a lot of dark horses usually are. I think they are a legitimate threat to take out one or two big teams. Third, I'm going to say Wales. I'm going to say Wales because I think people still underestimate this team's discipline, their grit, and their cohesiveness. And they are not as strong as they were, I think, in the late 2010s, early 2020s, but they're still a solid side. Difficult team to come up against. They gave Belgium 2 tight games in the group stages of World Cup qualifying. I think Denmark's going to get relegated, guys. I don't know what is. I feel like there's something with Denmark now that suggests they might be going through a phase of, if not a downturn, then they're flickering. There's inconsistency here. And I think that dropping points to Belarus in World Cup qualifiers, then losing to Scotland in the fashion they did when the group was in their hands, they could pay for it. I mean, they got some playoffs next month to make up for it and get to the World Cup, but they're in a tough spot now, and they put themselves there and have nobody else to blame but themselves. I just got a feeling. I think Wales can finish ahead of Denmark here, and I think Denmark will be relegated to League B directly. So moving down to League B, I'm going to make this quicker. League B with Group 1, Scotland, Switzerland, Slovenia, and North Macedonia. I've got Switzerland coming first. I think that they are ruthlessly efficient when it comes to group phases. Whether it's World Cups or European competition, you never expect them to go all the way and actually win, but they are quite on their game when it comes to taking care of business against teams that are on their level or worse. I think Switzerland will top this group and be promoted back into League A. I'm going to go with Scotland to come in second because I think that they have more momentum on their side than these Balkan states here with Slovenia and North Macedonia. And I'm going to say Slovenia will come in third and go to the relegation playouts. I give them a little bit of a pass for a disappointing World Cup qualifying because they were in a tough group with Switzerland and Sweden and Kosovo. And North Macedonia, again, it's a tough group. Actually, this is a very tough group. It's very well-rounded now that I look at it more. But I think North Mac will get relegated. I think League Seed is just about where they belong. Group 2 with Hungary, Ukraine, Northern Ireland, and Georgia. This is tough. You know what? I think Georgia's going to get relegated. I think that The honeymoon is over. Last World Cup qualifying, they were smacked around. They got snapped back to reality. Whereas I think Northern Ireland has been improving. They're on the up. A few years ago, I would have said Northern Ireland gets relegated, but I think they'll come in third and go to the playoffs to avoid relegation. With Hungary, they're devastated after missing out on the playoffs to Ireland with those late dramatic goals from Troy Parent. They have nothing to play for here except for the Nations League this year. Will that be a motivator? Will it be something that stymies them? I'm not sure. And Ukraine, the problem with Ukraine is they love to leave games late. They love to trail and then come from behind. And there's a lot of unpredictability in their style of play. I think they leave themselves susceptible at the back a lot of the time. They have the best attack in this group, in my opinion. I mean, this is another tight one. But look, like I said, I think Georgia gets relegated. I think Northern Ireland goes to the playoffs. I'm going to say Hungary comes second. I'm going to put some faith in Ukraine here and say they get promoted back into League A. I don't know if they'll be at the World Cup this summer. I hope they are. I hope Ukraine will be at the World Cup. But the nation really needs something to smile about. In group number 3, Israel, Austria, Republic of Ireland, Kosovo. This is another tight group, and that's the nature of the Nations League. Teams of a similar level facing off against each other. I'm going to go with Austria first. I think they're overrated, personally. I think Ralph Rangnick has had mixed results with them, and I would love for Ireland to actually top this group. Kosovo are a dark horse in League B because they were phenomenal in World Cup qualifying. They're in with a shot of being Europe's debutante this summer. Israel is always going to be a banana peel you got to look out for, but I think Austria has a little too much individual quality that'll get them over the line. I'm going to say Kosovo comes second. Ireland come third. Israel come fourth. Israel gets relegated. Ireland goes to the relegation playouts. Kosovo will live another day to fight another day for promotion into League A. In group number 4 with Poland, Bosnia, Romania, and Sweden. Poland and Sweden could play each other in the playoffs for the World Cup next month, so this could be a triple header this year between the two. Bosnia, all these teams are still alive in World Cup qualifiers now that I see this. Very interesting. I'm not sold on Sweden. I'm sorry. Individual quality-wise, it's a brilliant setup, but Graham Potter has a lot of work to do with this Swedish team. A lot of work to do. And especially if they don't qualify for the World Cup, the pressure is going to be amped up to 1,000. Bosnia beat Romania in their World Cup qualifying group, so they have gotten the best of them. I think Romania will be seeking to one-up them this time. I don't think Romania has enough depth and overall quality to finish in the top 2 in this group. So I'm gonna say Poland finish top. I know people have been speaking about Poland's downfall, demise. I think it's a little bit too premature. I know they went through a couple of managerial changes, but Poland still show signs of that being a team that's very difficult to beat. They managed to take points off the Netherlands twice in World Cup qualifiers. I think they got enough cohesiveness and pedigree here to finish in the top 2 spot. I'm going to say Poland finishes first and gets promoted. Second, I'm going to say Bosnia. Third, I'm going to say Sweden. I will give Sweden's quality some respect here and say that they will probably do enough to avoid relegation back down to League C, which was a humiliation for them last time. Romania will be relegated directly. Going to League C now, guys. Group number 1, Albania, Finland, Belarus, San Marino. San Marino will lose and go to the relegation League D playouts. Belarus will come in third. It's really between Albania and Finland. I am going to give the edge to Albania here, just because I think that there is more talent on this team. I think that Finland's time in the sun has really come and go. I think Silvino has done a great job with this Albanian side. My only concern for Albania is they could drop points to Belarus because they do sometimes like to flirt with playing down a level against teams that they're better than. But then again, Finland, they drew with Lithuania in their World Cup group, and they struggle with Malta. So I'm going to say Albania first. Finland finishes second and goes to the promotion playoffs. Group number 2, Montenegro, Armenia, Cyprus, and the winner of Latvia versus Gibraltar, which I think will be Latvia. Well, Latvia will lose and go back down to the relegation playoffs. Cyprus will come in second. Montenegro is in such terrible shape, aren't they? But then so is Armenia. I could see Armenia finishing first here because Montenegro has been in precipitous downfall. Tailspin collapse, Montenegro. I've been shocked by how poor they've been in Armenia. At home in Yerevan, they're a real threat. I'm going to say Armenia comes first. I'm going to say Armenia comes first and gets promoted. Group C, 3. This is a tough one. This is a group of death in this group, in this league. Kazakhstan, Slovakia, Faroe Islands, and Moldova. Faroe Islands on the up, massive improvement. They've made great strides in recent years. Slovakia have gotten some famous results in major tournaments with a victory over Belgium in the last Euros, a victory over Germany in World Cup qualifiers. Kazakhstan made some noise, making it into League B a couple editions ago, the Nations League, coming a couple of matches away from qualifying for the Euros. Moldova, yeah, they're a little bit of a minnow in Europe, but they even have had some time in the sun too. Remember that famous victory over Poland? It's a tough group, actually, but I think Slovakia is going to come first. I think Slovakia will come first. I'm going to say that the Faroe Islands will actually come second here. That's a big call. I'm going to say Kazakhstan comes in third. I think Moldova will go to the relegation playouts. And then group number 4 with Iceland, Bulgaria, Estonia, and the winner of Luxembourg-Malta, which I think will be Luxembourg. This group has to end with Iceland being promoted back into League B. It has to, and I think that's what will happen. And between Bulgaria, Estonia, and Luxembourg, I'm going to say Bulgaria will come second. I think Luxembourg will actually finish ahead of Estonia here. I know Luxembourg had a little bit of a spell of good form. People were thinking, could they qualify for the Euros? They had about a 5-year period where they were playing really good football, and then they just dipped. I don't know what happened to them, but I think they're better than Estonia, man per man. I think Estonia will lose and go to the relegation playouts. Going on to League D, the final league, you have the loser of Latvia-Gibraltar, which I think will be Gibraltar, loser of Luxembourg-Malta, which I think will be Malta, and Andorra. So a group with Gibraltar, Malta, and Andorra. We love that, don't we? Who will get promoted to League C? I'm going to say Malta. I think Malta will come through that 3-way group. And who goes to the promotion playoffs? I'm going to go with Andorra. And then in the last group with League D, Group 2, Lithuania, Azerbaijan, and Liechtenstein. Ooh, that's hard. I'm going to say Azerbaijan comes top, actually. Yeah. They should not be this low in League D. That's ridiculous. They used to be a respectable, third-tier side who was a difficult away venue to play. I don't know what happened to them. But even by their own standards, they've dipped. They should not be among the minnows. They need to get back into League C. I think they will. Azerbaijan first, Lithuania second into the promotion playoffs, and Liechtenstein in last. So the 8 teams in the quarterfinals for the UEFA Nations League from League A that will play in summer 2027, I think are going to be France and Belgium, the Netherlands and Germany, England and Spain, Portugal and Norway. That's who I think.